first cab off the rank, so to speak, is the Bulldogs, who we'll go straight to it. I said would be in that middle of the table sort of for and against battle. That usually happens where it's like usually decided by between, what is it, usually like maybe 12th, 11th, and 8th in that area.
Yeah, 8th to 12th is usually where that for and against battle is most likely to take place.
Like everyone, that was at that point where everyone was saying Trent Barrett was the sort of the attacking master coach of Penrith when he came over. We'd had a bad 2019, 2020 when he came over as assistant after his Manly thing. So I thought, because the Dogs, they played, you could see they played with a bit of effort, a bit of heart. They finished off their years really well. So I thought, okay, if he comes in, breathes a bit of new life into them and helps their attack improve, and they were getting Kyle Flanagan, who wasn't like superstar half or anything, but he'd been at the Roosters. And his thing, I thought, maybe a few spots up the ladder might be good for him, a few extra wins, but man, did that not pan out. Like you could see there was just something wrong from like the first couple of weeks. I think, what was it? Was it 3 or 4 weeks they went without scoring a try?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, 3 consecutive rounds from rounds 2 to 4, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, it was in there, and it's like, holy crap. What the hell? This is supposed to be Trent Barrett, who was credited with Penrith's attack, and they can't score a point. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
As for my prediction, I pretty much had the same thought. Like, their usual end-of-season surge will pull them up a few spots. So I had them around 12th. That's kind of that middle ground of the bottom 8 where I thought they'd go. But yeah, extremely underwhelming. Just not a whole lot went right for them. Kind of a season to forget, really.
Yeah.
Not a season they'll want to remember for a while.
Yeah. No, they'll definitely want to be over that. And I did think Jack Hetherington would have a better year. I mean, at some point, you'd expect him to chill out a bit.
Straighten himself up.
Yeah, but it's just like, no matter what he does, he's determined. Like, the game against us, for example, was the perfect example. I think it was like his first and second tackle of the game against us or something were both high shots or something. Like, something ridiculous like that. Like, you're like, what are you doing?
I think it was also his first game back after the send-off and suspension he copped against the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's like,
earlier in the year.
I do think, to a point, he's unfairly targeted on reputation, but at the same time, he makes it hard for the officials not to as well. Like, he has to do what he can do to fix that. Whatever that might be.
Yeah. Something needs to change there, but we'll get more into their signings later on for next year. Because there's been a bunch.
Well, I guess one of the questions, where are our questions? Where do we start again? How'd you list?
So that was what we thought of them for, or what we expected from for them for this year. Their high point of their season. There are 2 that I can't really pick between that I feel like are both that are high points for both. For them.
You say, and then we'll see where we go.
Their first win against the Sharks in round 7, there was a lot of emotion behind that win, and we saw what it meant to Trent.
Yeah.
Getting the boys getting over the line for that one.
Yeah. Scenes of him crying after that game. Tears.
Or their win in the final round against the Tigers, because that's going to give them a bit of confidence and some momentum heading into.
Honestly, I think those points
probably a big off season.
I think those points are equal for different reasons. So the first
obviously
one
they were guaranteed the spoon after mid-season or whatever, but they got that win in the final round. And
the first
it wasn't just a win; it was emphatic.
Yeah, but that first one was very important. I think they had to get that just to relieve some mental pressure. I think, and you saw how, just like you said, how important it was to them. It's like, Trent, I think as a coach needed that just to, all right, let's and then that final win. It's just good to go into the next season with that.
And like they got off to a pretty good lead in that game as well, but then the Sharks came back and really made them work for it and try to hold on. And the holding on part that they were actually succeeded in doing was the part that probably would have been the most pleasing for coaching staff.
Yeah, exactly. That's the important thing for it, is they needed to be able to show that they could do it. But during the preseason, they can go back to that game now and say, look, that's defensive effort. This is what we need to achieve on a regular basis. This is how you win games. You don't win games, like, obviously it helps, but flashy attack is one thing, but this is where games are won and lost. Look at Penrith's final season series. But that's something they can draw from. But that final game as well will give them just that little bit of sort of mental confidence, I guess. We had that end of 2019. Terrible year, missed the 8, but we had a really good win against the Knights.
Yeah,
and after that,
them.
Yeah, I heard Cleary broke the club record for points scored in a game.
He did.
Which was previously held by Ryan Girdler. And a lot of fans came out of that. Funny enough, even though we missed the 8, there was a surprising amount of confidence among the fan base. Oh, interesting. It just sort of went from there. That's what I think the Dogs have on their hands right now, is if they can bottle that going forward with all the new signings and everything. Well, I think
there's been a lot of turnover, though. That's the issue. There's been a lot of turnover, so there's not going to be as many of the squad members that have that. But then you see they've got a player like Burton coming over, and he's just won a grand final.
You've got players from successful clubs, so I think they've got the potential, but it's who the fuck knows, though. Cohesion takes time. I remember when Gronk and Tedesco went to the Roosters, and it took them half a season. And everyone was like, oh, it's taken them a bit to gel. And then we know what happened after that. Once they eventually clicked, and then they went and won 2 grand finals in a row. But so new players at a club might take a bit to gel. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. But with players like Burton, Addo-Carr, the guys they've signed, they'll be able to attack a lot better. Like, it was infuriating watching them this year. They'd have moments where, like, they'd have an overlap, and the center would have the ball. Bloody Hopewade was the worst at it. He'd have the ball, and he'd look, and he'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to pass it here.
Just leave it.
And there was a game, one really bad one. They were coming. I can't remember the game off the top of my head now. There were a couple points behind. A try pretty much wins the game, and his perfect try score opportunity, massive overlap. Like, literally, the center was at the winger, and it was nothing but space for like 20 meters. So the Bulldogs winger just had all space, and he just refuses to pass it. And even as a neutral fan, I was screaming at the TV. It was the most infuriating thing I've ever seen happen on a football field. I'm like, you literally just cost your team the game because you didn't pass the ball. Like, what the hell? So I think it's basic football instincts like that are 100% guaranteed to improve this year for them.
Oh, for sure.
It's those little things in games that, decision making and execution that can't not improve because of the turnover. It's like your goal.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be something there.
It's like the step up from reserve grade to first grade. Like that's basically what they're doing right now. Because their roster was absolutely a shambles. Pretty sure Bulldogs fans would probably agree with that.
Yeah, they did have some salary cap drama, though. I don't remember what caused it, but there was some salary cap drama that did hold them back for a couple of years.
Yeah. Which is why they got to the position they were in. Like, it's understandable what happened. These things take time to fix up.
Fault as well.
Yeah. Back-ended contracts, and pretty sure that's actually what made the NRL tighten the rules around back-ending contracts and stuff like that.
To avoid any future instances.
Because otherwise clubs just do that, and then look how long it's taken them. And even now, they're still, not looking perfect. It's going to take them a while. But I don't think they still don't have really a hooker who's going to elevate them up. Like when we got Happy Coruscant, for example. You know, a lot of people underestimate how much that improved us. So,
Yeah, a lot of people underestimated Appy as a player as well, and
yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how their signings go, but they're pretty much complete new backline. They needed a hooker, but you know, see what happens. I don't know. I hope for them. I hope for everybody.
yeah, but that's the thing. You can hope for everyone, but still, 8 teams are going to have to miss out anyway.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's like...
for one more year until it'll be 9 teams have to miss out. Geez, that's going to make things a tad bit more intense, isn't it?
Yeah. With a bit of luck,
powers that be will finally get their, or not the powers that be, the nuffies who are all about having less teams make the final series will sort of kind of get what they want. Sort of, kind of.
With a bit of luck, it makes everyone that little bit more accountable. There's essentially less chance of making the 8, which I think is a good thing. I'm looking forward to that part of having the extra teams, because now you have to work that little bit harder, and it will make teams that little bit more accountable.
Like saying that you want less teams making the finals is all well, like a 6-team final series is all well and good, but with the 17th team and an 8-team final series, you're still going to have less than half of the comp now playing finals football. Yeah. So you will have to be in that top half of the comp clearly to play. And that 9th place team is going to be exactly middle of the road.
Yeah, exactly. I prefer achieving it that way. Like, I'd rather than exclude teams, add more teams. Like, that's, you know, I mean, I was hoping we'd go to 18 teams. They'd get all the planning sorted out, work it out, so we'd get the extra game a week. I'm not looking forward to the buys in that, but yeah, I prefer achieving it through adding, not taking away, because that would be stupid. I wouldn't, I don't know. I like the way the current final series formatted. I'm actually a bit of a fan of it.
It actually really showed this year how important that second chance is, because you won the comp with it. You had to do it the hard way, and you had to get through Melbourne to do it. But the fact of the matter is you did it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like that. It's like, okay, you are the top 4 of the competition out of, 16 teams, soon to be 17 or 18 teams. We're going to reward you with this. And yeah, like I said, it worked. Cowboys did it in 2015. You get that second chance and you can make use of it. Or you get the week off if you win. Like, it's... Or even in 2017, granted, Cowboys had no chance to win that. I think pretty much from halfway through the season, everyone was saying, yeah, thought they're going to win it. But look at that. They just scraped into 8th. I think it was the Bulldogs game that year. Who did they play? I'm going to look it up, because I'm pretty sure it was the final round of 2017. It was
I remember they beat the Tigers in the second last round, and that upped their chances, but they still needed to win that final game to get the job done.
It was against the Dragons. So the Bulldogs in the final round of 2017 beat the Dragons 26-20. And it was
enough for 8th.
That the Cowboys got into 8th place by 2 points so because the Dragons, if they won that, then they would have made 8th and gone into the finals. But because they lost to the Dogs, Cowboys got it, which bit of good luck for them. And then they went through and did the grand final, because they played one of the best months of football you probably ever see. Like, their forward pack and Michael Morgan just decided, oh yes, we have increased our power by over 9,000. Joy.
Yeah, they absolutely killed it that final series.
Of course, they got to the grand final and they just looked worn out, but it was a good run up there.
They did also lose a player very...
Yeah, the first 5 or 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5 minutes into the game.
I mean, the Storm only lost 4 games all year. Like, we talk about the unevenness of the comp this year. The Storm only lost 4 games all that year. Like, we all knew they were winning that grand final. It was not happening any other way. Yeah, just a bit of off-topic trivia.
So back to the Doggies.
Yes.
Their low point.
Well, it has to be that couple of week period where they didn't score a try, right? Like, no points at all. Like,
yeah, that's what I put, that 3-week period.
You're just hoping they'll kick a field goal just to get a point. Like, come on, guys.
They were lucky that some of those games were played in rain. Like the round 2 game against the Panthers was played in that absolute monsoon.
Yeah, it was horrible weather, but like otherwise they were going to get absolutely killed.
Who were the other 2 teams they played in that little period? I remember they played the Storm in round 5 and they scored points, but they also conceded 50 as well.
So the Bulldogs this year, so round 2 they played us. Round 3 they played the Broncos and they lost 24-0. So we got round 2 Panthers 28-0. Round 3 Broncos 24-0. Round 4 Eels 38-0. So yeah, Rabbits. It was 1, 2, 3. So Panthers, Broncos, Rabbitohs, sorry. For the reason I'm saying the word eels and I'm looking at the rabbit right in front of me.
That's gold.
Oh, looks like I'm getting sacked from National Geographic.
You can't tell your difference between your rabbits and your eels? What's wrong with you?
I was going to take over from David Attenborough, but that's gone now. And then...
The dream, no more.
I know. A dream job, gone. And then, yeah, round 5, they played the Storm. It is actually the Storm. I think. Could be.
Yeah, it is. And it was funny. Everyone expected in that game that their scoreless streak would extend to 4 games, but no, they scored 3 tries.
The Storm of all teams, where everyone was like, they're going to get beat by like 80 points to 0, and they actually scored 18. It's like, holy crap.
Still conceded 50.
Yeah,
but take the little wins, hey?
Yeah, the small victories. But yes, I'm definitely calling that their low point, without a doubt. That was horrible.
For sure.
That was the soul-crushing part of the year. I don't think
any hope that the Bulldogs fans might have had just evaporated in the space of 3 weeks, starting the 2nd week of the season.
Yeah.
Because they showed some promise in round 1 against the Knights. They were severely refed out of it.
I thought they got refed out of that game, and I thought, fuck, the Dogs showed up, they played well, and I thought they got refed out of that game. I said it somewhere online as well. And I'm like, that was crap. That was absolutely crap. And then it's like, I don't know what happened. They just died in the arse. It's like whatever the positive that they had just completely fell out the bottom.
Yeah, like the penalty count in that game was 5-0. The Knights didn't concede a penalty. It was, yeah, they were refed out of it pretty bloody hard, but
yeah.
they still showed fight. Like 32-16 for a round 1 loss wasn't all that terrible.
No, and you'd expect them not to be at their best with a new coach coming in and changing the systems and everything, and players having to get used to things. And so it did look kind of promising.
Yeah, and then they just come out and the Matt Burton grudge match in round 2 and get absolutely slaughtered in the monsoonal conditions at Bankwest.
That was that was crazy watching that.
I don't think I actually got to watch that game. I'm pretty sure that game was on while I was driving up to Sydney for the Tigers to eventually get belted by the Roosters.
Oh, back when we were allowed to actually watch games.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
The good old days. That's crazy to think about now. Hopefully we get back to it next year. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well.
Any of those questions we haven't answered? Where did we predict them to finish? What was the highlight of the season? Answered. Low light, definitely answered.
MVP.
Interesting. I would either say Thompson, the forward. Probably going to be my pick, I think.
You reckon Luke Thompson?
Yeah. Avarillo as well. Probably between those two, I think Avarillo, they moved him to half. And as the season went on, he started to look really good. Like, like genuine first grade running half if you can give him a good halves partner. Or fullback, maybe. Like, maybe if you stick Burton at 5'8", him at fullback, and then maybe with those two, Flano might be able to have a better year. I don't know, but whatever. But yeah, but I think for me, it's between Avarillo and Thompson.
Yeah, okay. I sat there thinking about that one for a bloody while, and I couldn't really pinpoint any players.
It's difficult when a team has a year like that, granted.
Yeah, it was the hard part. I ended up settling on Josh Jackson. He doesn't always do anything wild or insane or...
He's not a highlight magnet.
Yeah, but he's their captain, he's their leader, and he gives 110% for that team every week. Is kind of what I settled on.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Like, it would be difficult being the captain of a team in that situation.
Yeah, and it's been a rough few years. Like, I think their last finals appearance was 2016, and I think for the most part they've been in the bottom 4 every year since.
Yeah.
I don't think they've had a season finish from 9th to 12th since 2016.
Yeah.
I think it's always been that 13 to 16 area. So it's been a difficult few years, but you always think that if there's one player who hasn't let that team down, it's their captain, Josh Jackson.
Yeah. As far as effort goes, I don't think you can doubt him the slightest. He's definition of 110%. Like if he was in a Roosters or a Storm or a Panthers or any of those sort of top 8, top 4 teams, Rabbitohs, like he'd be one of those guys like Isaiah, Cameron Murray, the guys you sort of your Boyd Cordners along that line of effort and 80 minutes of I'm putting everything into my team so that way the guys who do the highlight plays can actually do their job. Like you need a guy like that in your team. And it's a shame they didn't have the rest of the squad to back it up. But yeah, he can definitely hold his head high. Like I wouldn't argue if he was to get Player of the Year for them. I didn't pick him myself, but yeah.
I don't actually know who got the awards for a lot of clubs, but I think he might have been the one who got it for the Dogs.
Like I wouldn't begrudge him for getting it for sure. Especially I don't know how it goes for other sports. I assume it's pretty similar. It's like those effort players don't get as much acknowledgement as the highlight players. So like you're looking at, something like NFL, your quarterback's the guy who's going to be getting all the hype. In the NRL, it's your halfbacks, your fullbacks. Wingers every now and again get a bit, but not really.
You look at that stat for the Clive Churchill winners in the last 17 or 19 years or whatever it is, and all of them but 2 have been one of those positions out of fullback, halfback, or 5'8".
Yeah, that says it all, doesn't it?
It's the influential positions on the field. It's not where you recognise most of your...
You've got 13 positions on a field, and 2 positions are like 2 or 3 of the majority holders of Dally M's, which I kind of don't like. It's like you look at our year, right? Like we don't have that year. For example, if Isaiah Yeo is in that team, we simply don't win the competition if Isaiah Yeo doesn't play. New South Wales probably don't win that if Isaiah Yeo doesn't play. Or at least doesn't look as convincing as it did. But maybe they still win because we had a much better roster than they did. But like the work that him and Cameron Murray do as locks is ridiculous. Like they've taken it from being a prop to a prop who can defend like better than most people in the team, plus also play like a halfback. Like I don't say this, I'm not even exaggerating. Isaiah Yeo would be a better halfback than a lot of those bottom four teams have right now. If you go back and watch some of his ball playing and his skill that he does in the middle of the field there, giving our halves that extra space, he ball plays like a half, genuinely taking options, like with vision. He will look up and he will take options or run the ball depending on what's there. Like it's better than a lot of halves have done, like Flanagan and these guys. It's crazy. And Cameron Murray's the other example I use. Like he was quite similar.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're right. And that's why it kind of bugs me that, those positions get like all the recognition. Like give these guys something, Like
another one, a Tigers one. Look at Alex Twal, and especially late in the season, his tackle efficiency, his minutes played, his
what was
like
that?
all of those little F12.
Oh, yep.
All those little effort things. He's become an absolute toiler, yet he doesn't really have any awards, let alone a bloody try to show for any of it.
Yeah. So it kind of gets forgotten about, but especially because the team overall doesn't do well. But he's a guy who, again, like, like our Dogs example, because they're in a team not going so well, if you put them into a top team, we'd be talking about these guys as some of the best in the comp in their position. Like if you put Twal into a Roosters or Storm, for example, you increase his value ridiculously because he is so good individually at what he does. It's just the team around them isn't playing that well.
Isn't the best.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, Dominic. Hey, Aaron, I just gave you some options to go with that $10 bet. Ooh, we're betting now, are we?
Oh, I had a bet on the grand final, with the same game multi, with 3 of the 4 legs getting up. So I ended up getting the money back that I put on the bet as a bonus bet. I've only got 12 hours left to use it.
The ticking clock.
So I've got to throw $10 at something, and I asked Flex what he reckons would be the most guaranteed, if you will, game of the weekend in the NFL.
Nice.
I'm not going to do anything fancy with it. I'm probably just going to put it on like a winner. Just see if I can get money back for a winner.
Yeah. So, I think maybe next year, maybe over the year, because I think from what I've heard, the NFL pass is like similar to KO, but you've got to pay for it up front. So I think maybe this year I'll put bits of money away into an account or something over the year, and then for the next season I might do the upfront cost to be enough. Yeah, maybe $5 or $10 a week. Just put a bit of money away or whatever, just little bits, and then get that, because like I've been wanting to get into it, but it's really difficult when you don't.
Have you seen what it costs?
No, I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't been gamed. I just so busy, but we'll have a look.
What's
now.
it called?
Let's have a look. NFL Game Pass, I think. It has a 7-day free trial, but I won't do that now. Click on the link.
Ooh, NFL Game Pass now 25% off. Ooh, fancy.
All right, so there's different levels. Okay, there's a free version. You can't watch games live. Pre-selected weekly games live. No. You get NFL Network live 24/7. For what that is. That maybe their news shows, like their versions of NRL 360, whatever, maybe. Game full game replays. No. What else do you get? Game highlights Sunday in 60.
I think that's 60 minutes.
Game highlights
So,
5 minutes. You get like the little clips and stuff for the free
yeah.
version, which fair enough. Like I kind of don't mind that. Like you get something at least. Game
Still, it says
previews,
live and on demand, so
like which I like. Like so, pro version's $200 for a year. So, which gives you everything. So, let's. If I go. Boop, 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 boop. We go what? 200 divided by. Let's say we do that over 20 weeks. That's $10 a week. So, yeah, say put $10 a week away or something. An account and then do that next year. Especially being on demand. Like, there is no way I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning on a work day to bloody try and watch that. Like, I'd still only get to watch the first probably half of the game and then I'd have to go to work. But there. And then maybe next year we can properly get into it and maybe even include it in our little streams.
yeah, could be an option.
This interests me. I like the contrast to the NRL. You know, it's slowed down a bit. It's a lot more strategic. It's like watching chess versus watching, you know, like gladiators, I guess. That's
And KO is literally just like a luck of the draw thing.
yeah. Like credit to them for having something, but it's definitely luck of the draw with that. All right, Bulldogs promising rookie. What have you got for that?
I think Beyond Yodo was probably the one that stood out the most to me, but I threw in an honourable mention to Jackson Topine or Torpine or however it's pronounced, because he developed somewhat of a cult following on the socials. So he must be a popular one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't pay very much attention to the Bulldogs, so I kind of catch snippets here and there, which means I didn't really catch too much of what happened with their young brigade that they have coming through. But yeah, Beyond Yodo was the standout from what I had seen.
That'd probably be my pick too. Yeah, that'd definitely be my pick too. I think it's one of those cases if he can play Hooker, for example, and make a really good goal of it, because that's where I see their big weakness. You bring over Burton, you've got Averillo that can play in the spine with him. Like, it's young, fair enough to him, and yeah, maybe it'll take him time to gel, but yeah, he looked promising. But I can't argue with that at all. I think definitely him with honorable mention to Peen. He looked alright too. Like he did really well. Yeah, funny enough, pretty sure. I know Averillo played a bit last year. He's kind of technically in that sort of up and comers as well. So they've got a few. It's going to be crazy. I wonder who will have the youngest team in the comp next year. That's what it makes me think. I know we had the second youngest, and I think you guys had the youngest this year. We were youngest last year. Can't remember now.
I think we were the youngest last year.
Yeah, maybe we were the second. We were the second youngest 2 years in a row. Maybe
I think so.
I don't know, but they're definitely going to be going for that record, I think, with all their turnover this year. It's a shame because they actually had a bit of experience there, but the experienced guys just weren't doing it for them.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, that when you get to that point, you're like, nah, let's just clean slate, start again. Right. But I'm really keen to see how like Bert and that fit into the squad. Like, I will be cheering them for a lot of games next year. No one get offended, but seeing my boys Berto and NATO go across there. I'd be quite keen to see how they go. Especially Naden, he's been good with us, but never really looked like he was going to own a position. And at times, that didn't look like any fault of his own. Like, I remember arguing, even when Mansell was here, who I love Mansell, he's a club legend, as far as I'm concerned. I still, Naden looked like a better winger than him at the time.
Yeah.
I thought he should have had that wing spot 2020. So at times, it's like the coaching kind of didn't really allow him to lock down a spot. So
you can say the same thing about the coaching for a lot of the lower teams.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the factors for some of the lower teams was coaching.
Yeah.
Choices.
So hopefully Naden can go across there and just, all right, give him a spot and he can just play there all year. I think he'll be really good once he gets allowed to do that. Even when he played for us, he switched between centre and wing on and off throughout 2020, and then at the end of the year, played centre, then in the first final, then got shifted to the bench. It's like the poor bloke got kind of screwed a bit, I think.
Yeah, you need to be able to find that groove.
Like, if a player doesn't have consistency like that, you can't really judge him too negatively. Like, granted, he had a bit of off-field stuff at the end of 2020, but, you know, for a lot of the season, there was talk of he was mentally, I think, struggling a bit off season, so off the field. So if at the end of the year, then he turned to substances, as we'll call it.
Yeah, those things.
Which he got lucky. They recently changed the rules, so he only got suspended, and his suspension ran out just before the season started. And then, funny enough, the full game suspension he had at the start of the year was actually club imposed. Which goes to show how seriously they took it. So, I mean, they gave him a month off. Whereas the Storm Boys have like a 1-game ban. Theirs was
1 game each,
and theirs was caught on camera, which actually affects the game reputation.
Munster in particular needed a much harsher punishment, I reckon.
Yeah, he's experienced enough now and a senior figure enough. You know, he's senior enough figure in the game as a whole now, where I think he needs to remember that. Yeah. What can you do? Where are we? So,
and last but not least, our early ladder prediction for 2022.
I don't think they make the 8, but I don't think they're wooden spooners either.
No, I'm pretty much predicting them to be exactly what I predicted them for this year. So I've got them finishing. Obviously, this is very much a chance of changing as more signings happen over the off season and other clubs.
With the information we currently have.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I've got them finishing 12th. Obviously, they've got a lot of great signings, Burton, Adokar, etc., but they're still missing that halfback, or that halfback who knows what they're doing, and they're still missing that hooker.
Yeah, they don't have a game managing half, because Burton isn't doing that. He's shown that when he's with us. He hasn't really been a game manager. He's good when he can just get the ball in his hands and just do his thing. And yeah, hooker, so that pretty much mirrors my thoughts. So yeah, I'm gonna tip them for sort of a year like I just had this year. A year around that, like maybe somewhere around 10 to 13, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, fair enough.
Yeah, somewhere in that sort of just outside the 8. They'll get a few good wins, I think. I think they'll look better
in the for and against battle too.
Yeah, so for and against will decide a few things, like, you know, teams like the Storm, for example, might put on a big points against them. Stuff like that will affect.
Yeah, that might be what costs them.
Yeah, they might cost them an extra spot or two on the ladder or whatever, which always happens down in that area. So, yeah. I do think they'll be a bit better, but too many holes for my liking, which is a shame. But I don't know. To be fair, there's not a lot on offer, especially as far as hookers go. That's probably one of the weakest spots in the comp at the moment. Probably name maybe 2 or 3 across the comp who are genuinely the one. If you were going to try and win a comp, the ones you'd want. Like you'd probably say Appy, Cook, maybe one of the Brayley boys. But you'd have to put them in a genuinely good team. I don't know. It's actually not a very strong position across the comp at the moment.